Tonight on CBC Vancouver News.
We can't stay here for 5 days and spend Christmas here in the airport.
We sleep in here.
More delays and cancellations at YVR.
Our priority is to get folks moving, to get aircraft off the ground.
Before the next blast of winter moves in.
Pretty rough right now.
The struggle to survive. How people without permanent homes are enduring the cold and wet.
Literally having agent of influence, bringing messages, intimidating people.
And how widespread is Chinese government intelligence in Canada amid claims of Chinese police stations here?
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Good evening, I'm Dan Burritt. Thanks for joining us. Anita is on assignment this week. We begin tonight with some breaking news. Another blow to BC travelers. Part of the Coquihalla Highway has been closed tonight because of challenging winter weather. The Transportation Ministry has closed Highway 5 between Othello, east of Hope, and Merritt. It says high Arctic outflow winds are blowing away the sand that has been put down for traction. This section will stay closed until those winds ease and contractors can get the road ready for drivers again. We'll bring you any updates as they come in. To other transportation news now at Vancouver International Airport, where thousands of stranded travelers are still waiting anxiously for rescheduled flights. The airport says mass cancellations this week mean many planes are stuck here, causing congestion. And as John Hernandez reports, weather worked in the airport's favor today, but more snow is expected.
More flights were able to make it out of YVR on Wednesday, but there were still plenty of delays and cancellations, and even more passengers struggling to get home for the holidays.
I'm frustrated, I had anxiety, I'm sad, and I feel bad for people with kids.
Marie Santos was supposed to catch a connecting flight in Vancouver to Manila on Sunday. It was canceled, rescheduled, and then canceled again this morning. Her airline's desks empty.
Customer service says, well, the only people that can help you are the staff of Cathay Pacific in the airport of Vancouver. So, but where are they now? Nobody's helping us.
She fears her odds of seeing her family by Christmas are dwindling.
Can't stay here for 5 days and spend Christmas here in the airport. I'm sorry.
Despair and frustration have flooded the airport halls.
I'm tired. I've been trying to hold it together. I've had some tears come up.
I haven't been home for Christmas in 2 years, so we're gonna hopefully make it home for Christmas.
Many here wonder if this could have been avoided.
For a major international airport like this not to be able to be set up for a little bit of extreme weather, which we're going to get more of with climate change, you know, they probably need to take a second look.
What was forecasted was between 5 and 10 centimeters of snow, and what fell was 30 centimeters of snow.
Airport officials say the intense snow kept crews from cleaning runways for hours on Tuesday. The sweeping delays and cancellations means the airport is still congested.
Our priority is to get folks moving, to get aircraft off the ground so we can free up gates. In order to facilitate that, we did make the decision to close to international inbound arrivals for a period of 48 hours.
The next 2 days, crucial to getting planes out before more snow comes in.
Our message to travelers is it's been challenging and it's going to be challenging in the coming days.
Challenges that are sure to dash the hopes that many people here are hanging on to.
I just wish that everybody has a good holiday season and safely gets to where they need to go and can make the best of it, whether they're with their family or not this year. Because I know I'm not the only one in that situation either.
John Hernandez, CBC News, Richmond.
To more transportation challenges now. It's been less than smooth sailing for travelers and crew on BC ferries. As Claire Palmer reports, about 100 sailings have been affected by the snowfall.
Our next scheduled sailing has been delayed by approximately 30 minutes.
Weather continues to weigh on travelers on and around Vancouver Island. Numerous BC ferry sailings were canceled today in Nanaimo, the South Island, and the Lower Mainland. Officials say some crossings were scrubbed because of problems with a rescue boat on the Queen of Oak Bay. Challenges with snow removal and frozen pipes hit other routes. BC Ferries is working with Environment Canada to watch the weather closely.
Due to a number of systems coming in, we would recommend that customers do check our website before they head out to the terminals to see if there are any weather impacts on our sailings.
Many travelers say they understand the delays.
I grew up on the island. You get here when you get here, you leave when you leave. So, I'm not too disrupted, and it's pretty quiet, and the roads are good, so I'm happy.
A little nerve-wracking. Absolutely, most definitely a little nerve-wracking, hoping for the best and trying to be positive.
Well, the roads were decent getting here, and it's part of the travel day, so we're expecting delays everywhere we go. It's just going to take our time getting home, so that's what we're looking forward to, is getting back to Ucluelet. So.
And ferry workers have been busy trying to get schedules back on track.
Keep in mind that the folks you see, the folks in uniform, those are my members, and they are doing the best they can with what they have, and they're not responsible for the disruptions. They're the ones keeping the vessels going wherever possible.
BC Ferries urges passengers to monitor their website and social media for updates. Claire Palmer, CBC News, Nanaimo.
People living in a tent encampment in Vancouver's Crab Park say they need more support to help them endure the frigid temperatures. They say the snow has made life even harder for them. And advocates say about 50 people call that camp home for now, some of whom have been unable to find a warm place to sleep.
Well, it's pretty tough here right now. We have no electricity. It's hard to get deliveries in here from people who like to help out. Yeah, it's pretty rough right now. We have to all bundle together, and we're all on battery-operated lights and propane stoves so we can have heat and cook. And if you're not down here 24/7, clearing off the snow off your tents and stuff, they're going to collapse on you, and what you do have is going to be ruined. So, yeah, it's really hard right now. We walk around and we go tent to tent, and we check and call out their names and call out if anybody's in there. If no answers, try to see if we can peek in or not, because it is a residence, so we can't go inside, we can't open their tents, and and we just check and make sure everybody's okay, and then where everybody gathers in the warm-up tent to stay warm and dry, we make sure everybody's fed and full, and no cuts and bruises and stuff like that, and take care of each other like family.
If you have to drive in this winter weather, Richmond RCMP has a warning for you. Clean off your car or get ready to pay. The force says they stopped drivers like these out on the roads recently, blocked windows, snow piled on the roofs, covered lights, among other things. If you don't properly clear your car, you could get slapped with a $109 fine and 3 penalty points. They say it makes a danger to others on the streets and sidewalks. It adds officers are out targeting drivers just like these.
Our road safety unit set up a 3-hour check, stopping vehicles that had failed to remove their excess snow. And during that 3-hour period, there were 100 vehicles stopped that had to have the drivers get out and clear the excess snow off of. This is a combination of education as well as enforcement.
O'Malley says leaving snow on the roof can be dangerous since it can fly off or come down in chunks, causing injuries and damage. Even softer, powdery snow can blow around and make it harder to see. The extreme weather is affecting this entire province. In Prince George, they are used to snow, but that's nothing compared to the bitter cold sweeping down from the Arctic. Environment Canada has issued an extreme cold warning for many parts of the interior. It fell to minus 32 in Prince George recently, with the estimated wind chill making it feel like minus 37. The cold and icy conditions outside are posing a major challenge for many seniors across BC, including carrying out day-to-day activities. But a local nonprofit is stepping up and helping the community in any way they can.
The Better at Home program provides essential non-meal services to those older adults living at home. Examples are meal deliveries, groceries, light housekeeping, sometimes it's snow shoveling, whatever some of those things are that some older adults may no longer be able to do.
The program has served up to 300 families from across the province. It says the increased demand means they are looking for more volunteers. For more information, or if you want to sign up, you can visit their website on the screen. It's www.uwbc.ca. vancouver.ca. Packages and letters from Canada Post are set to land in your mailbox, but they might be late. Yesterday, the corporation halted all delivery service across the South Coast because of the winter blast. Today, it says it will do its best to deliver in the Fraser Valley, Metro Vancouver, Kamloops, Kelowna, Prince George, and parts of the island, but there may be delays. Delivery is still halted on South Vancouver Island. You're also asked to please clear your walkway and your steps so letter carriers can safely deliver your stuff. BC Hydro is hitting pause on new cryptocurrency mining operations for next year. The Crown Corporation is dialing back in order to prioritize climate action goals. Crypto miners like Bitcoin need massive amounts of energy to run. Hydro says it recently rejected 21 requests from projects that were asking to draw a total of 1,400 megawatts. That's enough to power about 570,000 homes in BC every year.
We really want to preserve the electricity surplus that we have for people to take action on the things that we know are really important to British Columbians, like being able to install heat pumps in their homes or make that switch to electric vehicles. Meeting our Clean BC climate action targets and goals means we need to use our electricity for the things that serve us best.
Cryptocurrency mining projects already set up in BC will be allowed to operate as usual. Kuljeet Kaila joins us now with the first glimpse at the forecast. It's cold, but it feels like, I think, as they said at YVR, we're sort of waiting. We're in the middle of something. Is that right?
Well, you know, this afternoon we had a little bit of a change in plans, and I wasn't even expecting this, but we have a winter warning now for Greater Vancouver and Victoria. So that means that snow, that second, or what is it, the third one this week that we're getting now is going to come. It's going to come late Thursday night. It's going to affect Friday morning travelers and commuters, and it's going to turn to rain for the weekend. The problem is we've got other warnings in place that are bringing Arctic cold air. We've got wind warnings on the coast. All of this combined together, the fear is the rain's going to be freezing and the snow isn't going to get enough time to melt. But we are going to see temperatures drop significantly from now until the weekend. Right now outside, -11 at the airport. We're still sitting about 5 to 10 degrees below seasonal temperatures, -8 at Pitt Meadows. And for the next couple of days, this is what we're going to see. So by Friday, we're still very cold across the province, -5 in Vancouver, -21 in Williams Lake. But look at this drop by Sunday, +4 for Williams Lake, +7 for Vancouver. So my fingers are crossed that the temperatures will warm up enough that the rain won't be freezing. And I'll have details coming up on more of what this snowfall is going to bring on Thursday and Friday. Dan?
Let's hope we don't get the freezing rain, really. Thanks, Kuljeet.
You're welcome.
To other news now, 5 Chinese police stations are allegedly located on Canadian soil, including one in Vancouver. These revelations are now raising concerns on Parliament Hill about what it could mean for political interference. As Eva Yuguan-Sen shows us, some experts say the role of Chinese intelligence in this country is actually far more widespread.
I got threats all the time from online and from my social media.
Yiping Li fled Hong Kong for Canada in 1997. Even on the other side of the ocean, he says the Chinese government was still watching.
Published my home address and my phone number and my mom's phone number, and asked everybody to phone me.
In recent months, civil rights group Safeguard Defenders has reported on 102 alleged police stations operated by China in 53 countries, including 5 in Canada, but some have known about them for years.
Our clients had been telling us about these stations and undercover police officers from China as early as 2017.
Earlier this month, a friendship society in Richmond was visited by RCMP officers after Safeguard Defenders reported a station was located in Vancouver. A counterintelligence expert says the stations are a symbol of much wider activities.
What we're talking about is literally having agent of influence, bringing messages, intimidating people directly, following people, taking pictures, spreading rumors on the social media, false news.
The Chinese embassy says the offices are volunteer-run service stations to help expats with processes like renewing driver's licenses. But experts say they're a symbol of fear and intimidation towards the Chinese diaspora.
Intimidating the people, they're trying to sort of show of force, if I may say, by saying, look, even the Canadian government cannot stop us to open these kind of offices.
And the targets of intimidation are widespread.
They're former state functionary that have been accused of bribery or corruption or abuse of power after a changing of the guards. But I'm also aware of human rights defenders or dissidents or Uyghurs or Falun Gong practitioners.
Juno Katsuya says foreign interference should be written into the Criminal Code of Canada.
What the criminal codes offered currently is things like harassment, defamation, but it's not enough.
RCMP say they are investigating the alleged police station for reports of criminal activity. As of now, Canadian authorities haven't yet confirmed the locations of any Chinese police stations. Eva Yuguen-Senge, CBC News, Vancouver.
BC's police watchdog has released its report into the deadly bank shooting during a robbery in Saanich, clearing officers of any wrongdoing.
It is my sincere hope that the detailed and evidence-based report published today by the Chief Civilian Director of the Independent Investigations Office of BC provides answers to many of your questions.
The report finds 2 suspects who were brothers were armed and posed a clear threat of death or bodily harm. The Independent Investigations Office also found police acted lawfully when they shot back at the pair. For many, the holidays are about spreading cheer and togetherness. And for one family in Richmond, it's about sharing the celebration of Hanukkah with their neighbors. Ali Batarge takes us inside their home where the Festival of Light helped 2 families see each other a bit more clearly.
On the second night of Hanukkah, the Shimonoviches had special guests. Their German neighbors, the Lehmans, wanted to learn more about the family's celebrations.
And I said, why not? If you can share knowledge and welcome our neighbors here, it's great. So we can light the Hanukkah, the menorah together. And it says that a little bit of light can dispel a lot of darkness.
We went to the library and we got some books on Hanukkah and we read about it and we listened to like the typical song, but it's different when you're in someone's house and they invite you in and they let you be part of it.
The Shimonoviches had planned a night of sharing knowledge, food, and play, and the Lehman children got to do the honors of setting the lights of Hanukkah aglow.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. I wanted to show our traditions, like Hanukkah traditions, things that the Jews they have been doing for many centuries.
I always thought that you just light the candle, but I found out they say something.
They celebrate for 8 days because the oil that was supposed to last only for 1 night lasted for, like a miracle, lasted for 8.
And both families learn about each other's heritage, finding common ground between their cultures.
If you learn more, you discover that you have much more in common.
The world is a better place when we respect each other, and respect, I think, comes from understanding each other.
For Louise Shimonovich, the night boiled down to the Jewish concept of Tikkun Olam.
It's fixing the world. You have to work towards a better world every day, bring not just God into this world, but bring better relations between you and your neighbor, between you and your friends, between you and your community.
And if there's one thing he wants the Lehmans to take away,
light is the most important message right now. Share the light, pass the light forward, be a better person, be a better human being.
The learning will continue amidst a festival of light they hope has sparked a lasting friendship. Ali Pitarga, CBC News, Richmond.
Great story and a good time of year for understanding and a bit of patience. Nice to see. They underwent more than a name change. They got a new leader. We're going to sit down with BC Liberal leader Kevin Falcon to talk about a tumultuous year in provincial politics. That's next. And the shocking details behind a hideous crime. The fear and uncertainty unhoused people say they now feel after a swarm of teenage girls allegedly stabbed a man to death on the streets of Toronto. That's coming up. And hello to everybody who is watching our live stream tonight. Here's that story.
She said it can't be any more than 6 feet wide.
Judy Gilmore is finding the perfect Christmas tree for one of her customers. She can hardly keep up with demand at her tree farm near Lumsden. In fact, the 50 trees she had available this year are sold out.
We just keep growing. This year's been our busiest year. I'm probably, well, three times as busy as what I was my first year.
That was just 3 years ago, and Gilmore's farm isn't the only booming Christmas tree business. Last year, Saskatchewan's Christmas tree industry raked in $1.3 million. That's more than double what it was in 2017.
I think people just want a real fresh tree. They last longer. There's an aroma to them. They'll last for 4 to 6 weeks in your house.
But it will likely cost you more to buy a tree this year. And it's not just because of demand. The Canadian Christmas Trees Association says inflation is driving up expenses. So customers will have to pay, on average, 10% more.
The cost of farming, fuel, for instance, let's start with that one, has been huge to run equipment.
And there are fewer trees. Climate change is taking its toll on the industry with recent drought in parts of the country.
Especially when you have multiple years of drought, that can be really play a negative role. It can actually kill seedlings.
And the amount of land dedicated to growing Christmas trees is dropping. According to the National Association, Canada has lost 8,000 hectares due to various factors over the last decade. That amounts to around 30 million fewer trees. In the same time period, about 1,000 tree farms have shut down across Canada.
So I've got that field over there on the north side that I'm trying to fill in too.
Back on her farm, Judy Gilmore says the recent closure of another nearby tree lot has likely contributed to the spike in her sales. And with so much demand, she expects to keep going. Ethan Williams, CBC News, near Lumsden.
It was a year of big changes for the BC Liberals. They chose a new leader in the well-known Kevin Falcon and voted for a new party name, BC United. Our political affairs reporter Mira Bain sat down with Falcon for a recap of 2022, from the Royal BC Museum fiasco to public safety and the chance for a snap election.
In terms of highlights, this year we saw you come back into the legislature. What were the big moments for you this year, good and bad?
I think some of the good things that happened, I think we got the government to back down on their idea of spending over $1 billion on the Royal BC Museum, which almost nobody really understood how that made any sense. And frankly, one of the other things more recently, I was really pleased to see David Eby reverse direction on the individualized autism funding, because over the past year that's really caused a huge amount of pressure on families with children with autism. And I really, the good things, I've really enjoyed getting back, getting our opposition very focused, making sure that we do our job. A lot of the public doesn't realize that our job is to hold government accountable, and so we have to point out the shortcomings and some of the things the government perhaps isn't doing particularly well, where they could improve, etc. I think we've done a very good job of doing that as an opposition. We've focused on crime and how it's spinning out of control, and how David Eby's prior catch and release program with repeat offenders is not working for communities. We've talked about how housing affordability is important, but not just in announcing things that government hopes to do, but pointing out that we've now got the highest housing prices in North America, which isn't working. And same with healthcare. Just pointing out that we've now got 1 in 5 British Columbians that cannot access a family doctor. We've got 1 million people waiting to see a specialist. We've got the longest wait times in Canada when it comes to our walk-in clinics. So all of these things are not good, obviously, but I think we're doing a good job of pointing them out so that we can try and drive better results.
So in terms of just this past year, we saw a sort of less movement from the government until recently when Premier David Eby came in. We've seen a lot of announcements. I am wondering from you, do you think that was orchestrated?
Oh, of course it is. And look, I mean, it's very normal. A new premier comes in, they actually sat on a whole bunch of announcements they could have made a lot earlier, especially affordability relief for a lot of families that are really feeling the pressure.
The BC Liberals, you promised them name change, and they voted, BC Liberal members, for that name change to BC United. When are we going to see the signage and all that?
Well, we have, under our Constitution, we have to have an approval mechanism at a convention, so we'll do that in January. And then we have to do, spend some time doing branding and a lot of work on logo and that kind of thing. So that will take place through the spring. And then I have to make a decision about when is the right time to implement that. So, although Premier Eby has said that he won't call the election, he's been quite explicit about that. I'm sorry to say that I can't totally trust those words, and so I have to make sure that we implement that name change at a time that is not going to put us at risk in confusing the public.
The BC NDP did well in the last election by capturing some of the urban ridings, including Surrey. There's some concern that this name change with the BC Liberals to BC United is going to drive away some of the progressive Liberals within the party, and that includes people in some of those communities in the Fraser Valley. What thought have you given to that?
Yeah, I really don't think that's going to be an issue because, look, people know what I'm all about, and I am not about ideology. I'm actually just about results and outcomes. At the end of the day, you look in Vancouver, ABC Party really didn't exist a year ago, and today they, have a majority of control all over the city of Vancouver. I just want to make sure, without any shadow of a doubt, we are going to be a big tent party that's very inclusive.
This year, you also removed John Rustad
Yes.
from the caucus. Why did you feel that was important?
Well, because he, for whatever reason, decided that he was going to push out information that essentially was denying that climate change is real. And, I don't mind if people have contrary opinions to mine. I'm used to having people that disagree with me. And I think sometimes that makes for a better debate, frankly. But the problem with John is, as I always said to him, is that this is a team sport.
Do you support Pierre Poilievre for Prime Minister?
No, I don't get involved in federal politics. Once I'm in provincial politics, I park my federal involvement. Look, I've been a long-time federal conservative. I make no apologies about that. But the reality is I have to work with both governments. That's how we always did it while I was in government. And it's the right way. I will deal with the Prime Minister and try and get the best results for British Columbians, and I will deal with Pierre Poilievre as opposition leader, or in the future if he's Prime Minister, in the same way. Because at the end of the day, my responsibility is to British Columbians. It is not to be partisan about who I support at the federal level. It's about making sure I work with whoever is in government and the opposition to try and get the best possible results for British Columbians.
It's been quite the interesting, overwhelming experience.
Days-long waits for some, lost luggage and ruined holiday plans for others. Stranded travelers at YVR are passing the time and some staying hopeful. Stay with us.
For the man with the magnum imagination and the magnum-sized pocketbook, you could always get the new Ferrari 308. Its new improved V8 motor has 225 horsepower, and it's a rare one. Only 3,000 a year are made. But you can get yours at Clark Simpkins for $80,000. Of course, you might have a bit of a problem getting it under the Christmas tree. You need a little motivation for someone who's always late? Well, how about this dynamite clock from the California Gift Company? $47. That'll blow your mind. Some small items for the big people around the house this Christmas? Someone who wants to be a star or maybe a disc jockey? Well, how about this wireless microphone? $9.95 at Radio Shack. Or maybe you have an executive around the house who's having trouble making decisions. How about this executive decision maker? $11.95. Home movies are always a big item at Christmas time. And these days, of course, it's all on videotape. The new stuff is lighter and easier to use than ever. This Sony Beta movie, available at Miller's, is $2,000 and 6.5 pounds. And now when those pesky news crews come to bother you, you can videotape them. In the days before video games, there was pinball. Well, pinball's making a comeback. And these days you can buy your very own pinball machine at John's Jukes on 7th and Main. They range in price from $445 to $1,300. Something else you can get at John's Jukes for the music lover is an old jukebox. They range in price from about $1,000 to about $7,000 fully restored for something like this old Wurlitzer. Black & Whit in North Vancouver has all kinds of stocking stuffers for adults, like this 24-karat gold-plated toothbrush at $14.50, and Snorband for those who have trouble sleeping with their noisy mates. The idea is that the hooks keep your nostrils open and stop you from snoring. $5.99. This is a little something for those times when you have to leave people waiting on the phone. So you feel like you want to fight? Well, this is a lot safer. You can get your frustrations out without getting a black eye. All for $4.50. If you've got a sailor around the house that you want to buy something really special for, and money's no object, well, how about the Maple Leaf 68, built by Cooper Yachts in Port Coquitlam? It's the largest fiberglass production sailboat built in North America. It's got 6 cabins that sleep 12, crew quarters for 3, a fully equipped galley, and a giant salon. The price tag? No problem. $665,000. Ho, ho, ho.
We've shown you the snow and cold-induced chaos and confusion at YVR, flights grounded, families separated, holiday plans coming apart. But let's circle back for a closer look at the people stranded at the airport.
We had 3 hours at the tarmac in Toronto. Then they forced me to check in my carry-on. And I told them I got my medicines in. They said, don't worry, you'll be priority over there. I came Monday, I didn't get my luggage.
Most travelers flew into Vancouver for a stopover and are now waiting for their connecting flights. But the delays are leaving some wishing they'd never left their original destinations.
The lack of communication between the staff and airlines, I guess, that's what's happened. And why did they fly us here if they know that we're gonna be delayed and we cannot get into our airplane?
Between sleeping on the floors and hearing more bad news over the intercom, the scene at YVR is not great. And as Renee Filipponi explains, there are a lot of questions about how everything is being handled.
So we need to stay here for another night until tomorrow.
Angie Ostojic and her family are trapped at the airport. They live in Calgary and were headed to Manila via Vancouver.
There's no plan B because we cannot move. We can't go anywhere. They cannot fly us back. We can't. And we only have 2 weeks to spend supposed to in the Philippines. We cannot go now.
It was going to be the first time since the pandemic they saw family there.
It's painful. It's sad. Make me mad.
Planes have been lined up on the tarmac since the snowfall Monday night. Dozens of international flights have been canceled to deal with the backlog.
It is going to continue to be challenging in the coming days.
Some passengers were trapped on the tarmac for up to 12 hours. The airport insists that was unavoidable.
Would this have been solved with more equipment, more crew on the ground on Monday?
No. Again, the real challenge was how hard and fast the snow came and how much of it fell. That trapped aircraft on our airfield. It meant that gates were unavailable to safely deplane passengers.
The Canadian Transportation Agency says it's investigating several airlines and will act if necessary.
Boarding a flight, not having a clear path for getting passengers out of the aircraft if they're not going to take off, that's inexcusable.
The chaos in Vancouver has had ripple effects, leaving people stranded across the country.
I understand that I'm entitled to, somewhere to sleep and food and like there's literally no one here to even talk to about that.
The problems in Vancouver will likely continue to create issues at Canadian airports for some time.
There will be crew who are in the wrong locations. There will be aircraft that are also not where they are supposed to be.
For those waiting in long lines to rebook, the airport is trying to make it more comfortable, as many realize they may not make it home for the holidays. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, Richmond, BC.
As you heard, many passengers have been trapped for hours, if not days, and you can only watch the tarmac for so long before you get bored. CBC's Benit Brach was at YVR today and checked in on how people are passing the time.
Now, if it hasn't been obvious enough, more than 200 flights have been canceled here at YVR. It's left passengers stuck and waiting, so we wanted to check in to see how they're passing the time. How are you feeling right now?
Very emotional. We're supposed to be seeing these guys
Yeah, is that your
in England. Yeah, that's my parents and my sister. First Christmas with them in 11 years, and we're not there yet.
Tell me about how you're passing the time.
iPads, Skyping these guys, trying to find some food. Yeah, just hanging around.
This has been the craziest 24 hours of my life, possibly. We're waiting on the plane for 8 hours, and we got to the end of the runway. We were about to take off, and then they said we can't fly. It was just so heartbreaking.
How are you passing the time? What have you been doing? You got your little nail kit out?
Sometimes you get nervous and I don't know, just always trim my nails.
Okay, so we were both Japan, and yeah, we just met here, and we just talked about the things around us, like school, friends, or
new friends.
I think so.
I know you've been here for a bit now, but is there any moment here that felt like good news to you, or you felt positive about something?
They brought snacks around a few times. That's been good. Got a granola bar, got a mandarin orange. That was good.
You start to appreciate the downtime because it has been so busy, and so many people, you do appreciate the time just with your family, playing the small games that you don't get to do really in your day-to-day activity, right? Like, it's nice that to have that reflection and just remember that those small things are really important, and yeah, it keeps it fun and close. So
Especially tough when you think about people who've been separated by COVID over the past almost 3 years. So let's hope most of those folks get where they need to go in time. We're learning more about a deadly swarming in Toronto, allegedly carried out by 8 teenage girls, some as young as 13. Thomas Dagla now with a growing concern for people living on the streets with nowhere to go.
In a city left wondering what could have prompted such an unthinkable attack, friends offered only praise of the man killed.
He was a nice guy. He wasn't a bad person. He never did any harm to no one. And he was calm, cool, and collected.
Near the downtown Toronto homeless shelter where he once stayed, police say the 59-year-old was killed last weekend by 8 girls between the ages of 13 and 16.
A witness told CBC News she was smoking a cigarette with the man when the girls tried to take her bottle of liquor. The man intervened, she says, and the girls started punching him.
This is a rare event. This is not an indication of a trend.
Police have provided a more detailed timeline of events that led them to the group now charged with murder. Around 10:30 p.m., The girls were involved in what investigators describe as an altercation. Just after midnight is when police say the teens stabbed the man in a deadly swarming. Now authorities have revealed there was a third incident later that night.
There was a subsequent incident that happened after the homicide that police were called to assist with. As a result of that incident, we were then able to make the connect that these were the same group of people.
It comes at a time of increased concern for people experiencing homelessness in Toronto, with the city's shelter system regularly at capacity, and a man's recent arrest over what police called unprovoked slashing attacks on two unhoused people.
Without supportive housing, without a safe place to return to, then people will be subject to this.
The accused teens can't be named because of their age. Police will only say they suspect the girls met on social media. They'll spend Christmas in custody, awaiting their next court appearance. Thomas Dagg, CBC News, Toronto.
Amid the snow, today is also the shortest day of the year, December 21st, the winter solstice. Stay tuned to hear behind the science behind it all.
The residents love it. They sit in the windows and watch the decorations. And then the night on December the 1st, when the lights go on, they're always thrilled to see all the variety in colors. And they sit there night after night. It started with about 40 trees from the community. This year we have 138 trees. My section is really just to make sure the trees look their very best, because it's a very different experience to see the trees during the day as opposed to the lights at night. It's wonderful for the community of Fredericton to drive through, but as part of the committee, we're very pleased that the community of businesses and individuals help us provide things for the residents. This year we hope to replace many of the mattresses and also put new furniture into the dining room.
How much work goes into this?
Well, a lot.
You know, it takes us a month and a half to get this all together. We start in the middle of October and hopefully get most of the trees erected before it gets really cold. I have a group of retired guys that are available to help out. There's about 10 of us, and I wait and see what the weather's going to be like and call them the night before, and there's always somebody here to help out. And most of us have had family as residents here at one time or another, and we realize that that there's extra funds are necessary for the appropriate and proper care of the residents.
I can't say exactly how much money that we have raised over the years, but we've raised in the hundreds of thousands of dollars with this fundraising over the 14-year period.
It's all volunteer work, and the money that we make from selling the trees goes to support the nursing home, and we sure appreciate everybody who contributes.
There they are. Like so many around the South Coast, The sea otters at the Vancouver Aquarium were surprised to step out into the snow today, but they got used to it. Along with some extra slippery shenanigans, the group sat back and enjoyed some frozen crustaceans and other treats. And who doesn't love that? This week's Arctic outflow just happens to coincide with the official start of winter. Today marks the shortest day of the year, also known as the solstice. CBC's Jennifer LaGrassa met up with an astronomer who explains the change in season.
I know the tip
Oh,
of
there's the sun. You see it?
Yeah.
Just the
At first, it looked like it might not show, which would have been a shame on the shortest day of the year. But when the sun poked above the clouds, astronomer Stephen Pellerin could finally get a good look at it on the hilltop at Malden Park.
The sun today is at its lowest point in the southern sky. All right, and because of that, as the sun travels across the sky, it makes its shortest path because it's close to the horizon.
This is part of why today is known as the winter solstice. It's when winter officially begins in Earth's northern hemisphere, and afterwards, the days actually start to get longer.
The northern hemisphere is tilted away from the sun, which means that the sunlight appears to be coming from a more southerly direction. And what that means is that as the Earth spins, we end up going from the shadow side on one side of the Earth to the other side in a shorter arc. So that means that because we're tilted towards the shadow, it takes us less time to get from one side of the shadow to the other. So we have short days and long nights.
And while many know today as the shortest day of the year, astronomers like Pellerin like to see it as the longest night.
For astronomers, this is a benefit because having longer nights means that we can take our telescopes out and do research for a longer period of time.
The winter solstice is astronomically significant, but for some, it's also spiritually meaningful.
Well, it is a time of reflection for sure.
Tracy Rogers is co-hosting a drumming circle at her shop, White Feather Holistic Arts, to ring in the winter solstice.
Hopefully what we're doing with the drum circle, though, is raising the vibration. That's our intention with it. We want people to get into that happy energy. Let's look forward to what's coming.
And so I took to the streets to find out what Windsorites are bringing into this next season of their life.
Actually, I'm starting my professional journey here in Canada. I want to be more positive. I want to do better in school, so I want to be more focused and not procrastinate as much.
However you spent this year's shortest day, remember that there's only longer ones ahead. Jennifer LaGrassa, CBC News, Windsor.
Kuljeet Kaila joins us now with the BC-wide weather forecast. Longer days. It'd be kind of nice, even though it has felt like winter has been here for months now. Is that fair to say?
It's really hard to believe today is the official first day of winter.
Check the calendar.
With everything that's happening at the airport and stuff. But it was a beautiful day. Let's take a look at our little time lapse that we got this morning into the daytime. This is looking at the Port of Vancouver and Lonsdale Key right behind it. And look at those snowy mountains. It makes for a beautiful picture, the winter. But it's wreaking havoc locally, of course. And now we've got a winter storm warning in effect for Greater Vancouver and Greater Victoria that was issued this afternoon. Now that combined with the rigid cold temperatures across BC and the cold front coming down means the temperatures will still stay in the minus 5 to 10 degrees below what we're used to seeing this time of year. And then by Monday, we will have had a couple of days of rain, still pretty cold temperatures. The worry is that rain is going to turn into freezing conditions. But before we get there, we are going to see some cold temperatures overnight. This is an estimated overnight with the wind chill for Vancouver, minus 22. Whistler is up to minus 32. This is for overnight tonight. Those temperatures will start to get back to seasonal temperatures by about Monday. But before that, even for Prince George tomorrow, minus 28. Some sunshine there, but very cold, minus 27 in Williams Lake. Minus 5 in Victoria for tomorrow. A few things that we need to note for today. Today's high was minus 10. We should be sitting at about plus 6, just to give you an idea about how far off we are right now. Record low was set back in 1990 at 12.7, and wind chill, like I said, 22, minus 22 in Metro Vancouver, minus 23 for the Fraser Valley. That snow that's coming Thursday night into Friday morning, and it will turn to rain by about Friday afternoon, and then the rain stays with us up to 15 millimeters of rain on Saturday, 5 on Sunday. Snow, by the way, on Friday, up to 10 centimeters expected for the lower mainland. Lots of rain for early on next week before we switch to some final sunshine on Wednesday, which we're just begging for it now.
We need it. We need it. We're going to get it. It's going to be great.
Yes.
Post-Christmas, we'll enjoy it.
And we'll never complain about it being too hot ever again.
I'd like that in writing from everybody, please.
Yes.
Thanks, Kuljeet.
You're welcome.
To other news now, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is in Washington meeting with U.S. President Joe Biden and other American lawmakers. It's his first trip out of his country since the Russian invasion in February, 300 days ago. And he made a special presentation to Biden during the official greeting in the Oval Office.
And I want to give you that is the cross for military merit. That is one.
Oh, God love you.
Yes.
Zelenskyy gave Biden a military medal that had been awarded to a Ukrainian officer just yesterday. He says the soldier wanted the American president to have it because of his support for their country. And in a significant announcement, Biden confirmed the U.S. will be providing Ukraine with Patriot surface-to-air missiles. Ukraine has been asking for that defense system. Since the start of the war, Congress is expected to approve a $45 billion overall aid package for Ukraine. Coming up, its annual spectacle draws in tens of thousands of spectators, and it's one reason why people travel across the country just to see it. Stick around.
Have you ever wondered why some people bring trees inside their homes as part of their holiday traditions? First, let's talk about the winter solstice. It's the time of year with the fewest hours of daylight. So back in ancient times, people like the early Egyptians and the Romans, they would bring back plants inside their homes as a way of celebrating the sun and anything it grew, and that was meant to bring back the daylight that they lost. And with that, fir trees became a symbol of life during those dark December winters. Another possible origin story from Christian traditions dates back to the Middle Ages. So, stories from the Bible were celebrated through theater plays for people who couldn't read. And Adam and Eve's story was celebrated on December 24. And the evergreen tree was used as a symbol for the Garden of Eden. So this became a German tradition sometime around the late 1500s, and over there, this can be known as Tannenbaums. Some German nobles married into the British monarchy, and then they passed that holiday tradition over to the royal court. Then it wasn't until December of 1848 when this photo was published in a weekly news magazine in the UK. So that's Queen Victoria and her royal family celebrating the holidays with the Christmas tree. This trend-setting monarch inspired the rest of society. 2 years later, a popular American women's magazine published a similar photo inspiring a whole new continent of having the Christmas tree. Now, the royals can't take full credit for bringing the trees to North America. Immigration brought the Germans and their traditions over to this continent. But the royals certainly helped in popularizing Christmas as a family occasion.
Tis the season to spread good tidings and cheer. In Ottawa, visitors to Parliament Hill are being treated to an added bonus over the holidays. A stunning winter show of lights and sound. The CBC's Marina von Stackelberg checked it out.
Iconic Parliament Hill, awash with light and sound over the holidays. The annual multimedia projection draws in tens of thousands of spectators. This family visiting from BC just stumbled across it.
It was awesome. Yeah, I really love the lights.
It's so cool.
It was so cool.
It's so cool.
Others visit the nation's capital just to see it.
It's our first time here in Ottawa, and the first time we see this beautiful show.
It's put on for free by the Department of Canadian Heritage.
A great opportunity to put on your toque, your mitts, get your family and friends to come on out down to Parliament Hill and watch the most amazing projection show that we put on, one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic buildings in our country.
This year's show tells the story of light traveling across Canada.
It's about discovering what winter looks like in Canada and how light comes back, at the winter solstice. It's the start of a new cycle.
A Montreal production company is behind this display. More than 30 people work for months to create the concept, script, and illustrations. They design the sound, lighting, and program the whole show. The projection equipment needs to be set up every night. It can be tricky to make sure the images fit perfectly.
You have to take in consideration the size, the color of the building, the reaction of the projection on that kind of stone, which is quite dark.
A holiday light show has been part of Parliament Hill for nearly 4 decades. Over the years, the technology has advanced. Some locals come every year.
This is probably the most spectacular version I've seen. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Just the way the lights line up with all of the architectural details, not just the windows.
Being out in the cold, it's kind of heart-warming, makes me feel patriotic.
A display of Canadian pride running all through the holidays until January 8th. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
That's a big moose. All month, we're collecting donations for BC food banks, and there is still time for you to give. Take a look at this. To date, you have donated more than $2.4 million, and we thank you very much. The annual fundraiser began earlier this month with CBC BC's Food Bank Day, and some special guests were here to soundtrack that event, and we got them on camera. Have a listen.
Well, hey there, ladies.
Oh, hi, Shannon.
We're having such a fabulous time at the CBC Food Bank Day. What do you say we sing a little jingle bells? Yes, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. O'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtails ring, they're making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing sleighing song tonight. Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what a lot of fun to ride and sing in a one-horse open sleigh. Okay, dashing through the snow, we are dashing in a one-horse open sleigh. One-horse sleigh. Over the fields we go. Over the fields we go, laughing all the way. All the way. Bells on bobtails ring. You know they're making spirits Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingling, jingling, jingling bells all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open. Jingle bells, jingle all the way.
Fun day. And you can still donate to our food bank drive. Just visit foodbanksbc.com on the screen there if you can, please. And thanks for donating. That is your news for this Wednesday on CBC Vancouver News at 6. Catch us on CBC Jam, our free app, also on YouTube, Instagram, and of course our website, cbc.ca/BC. Zara Premji will have your next local news at 11 o'clock right after the Nationals, so please tune in before you turn in. Good night.